Hey everybody, welcome to Little Monsters Movie Podcast.
Evening group.
I'm Dino.
Ted.
Oh my god, and today we're going to talk about The Return of the Living Dead, 1985, and it's the 25th anniversary,
Right.
and
go ahead,
it takes place July 4th weekend.
Which is why we picked it.
Yes, so it all works perfectly together.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, my thoughts really quick about this movie, Ted. I forget how great it is.
It is.
I mean, of course, I know any horror fan probably has seen it. Zombie fan has seen it. But for the people who haven't seen it, man, this has got so many great one-liners, lines, acting, effects.
Oh.
Well, I mean, effects alone, I mean, we'll get into that and stuff, but from beginning to end, the way they act, especially Frank, the old guy at Unida Medical Supply, his overacting in every line he's going, I wish I could play.
I think that would be us. This would be us. If it wouldn't be Night of the Living Dead. It wouldn't be Dawn of the Dead hiding. We'd all be freaking out. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yes, that's exactly how it was.
What did he do in the movie? Because that's what's cool about this movie is it acknowledges the fact that there was a Night of the Living Dead movie.
Right,
and,
right.
It's kind of like how the film sort of starts out. It says, these events are real. They actually happened. The names have been kept.
Yes, like everything's real.
Say the names have been changed. The names are real.
Oh my God! But yeah, that camaraderie with everybody in here is great. Okay, first of all, I could say that every character is great,
and you got a mix of old school actors and like fresh faced, kids. And,
it's almost like the director told like that Frank, the older guy, who's I would think a good actor in most movies. Yeah. He must have told him just act as bizarre and scream and everything as much as you can, because that's what goes on in this.
Right.
And Ted, it was just great.
It is. It's
oh my God.
I'm not a huge zombie fan. I know it's very popular these days. You got Walking Dead. You got World War Z, which I didn't even see. I didn't even watch anything past season 1 of Walking Dead. I haven't even watched.
You didn't miss nothing in World War Z, but
it's just very popular right now.
Right.
And it's not even my favorite kind of horror genre, but I gotta say, out of every zombie movie I've ever seen, that includes Mr. Romero's movies, I like this one the best.
Oh my God.
It's got a good mix of horror, it's got a good mix of comedy, it's got cool effects, it's just, like we were all just saying, it's like a quintessential 80s movie, right smack dab in the middle of the decade.
Yes.
Middle of the year, middle of the decade.
80s,
and
yes.
The little backstory on this movie was directed by Dan O'Bannon, who hadn't really directed anything really before, but he's big in the writing. I mean, he's written a lot of our favorite movies. He's had a hand in writing Alien, the original Total Recall, tons of other movies. And so he's got a lot of credibility there. And the story was originally written by John Russo. John Russo and George Romero were writing partners.
Oh, John Russo?
John Russo. And the John Russo. And
I'm not sure why I never heard of him, but go ahead.
Well, this is the story of the movie. He's one of the producers of the movie.
Okay.
And he and George Romero were partners. They worked on Night of the Living Dead together and a couple of his other movies. They had a little falling out, whatever.
A little tiff.
And legally, George Romero wasn't allowed to use the phrase living dead in any of his movies. So that's why you never see it again. But John Russo was. So he kind of wanted to make his own franchise of movies. He started off writing novels. He originally wrote a novel called Return of the Living Dead, which I think is still in print. You can probably still get your hands on it. I've never read it. But what happened here, he wanted to get this movie made, and he originally wanted Tobe Hooper from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to make this movie.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of didn't pan out, and it eventually got offered to Dan O'Bannon. And Dan O'Bannon did it on the condition that he could completely rewrite it. He didn't want it to be anything like Romero's movies. Matter of fact, Day of the Dead came out 2 weeks after this movie. And this one got way more critical acclaim and box office than Romero's movie did.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a good thing he redid the movie, did it. I mean, Tobe Hooper, it would probably still been a good movie, but a darker, I would think, type of movie.
This comic edge, satire.
Yeah.
And
this goes above and beyond, man.
So this movie is radically different from what John Russo wanted to do, and he has since written some other novels on it. But that's kind of how this movie came to be. Yeah. It took a little while for him to get it off the ground, and when he did, we got this work of art.
My God.
In a lot of ways, a work of art.
Oh. without a doubt. And we'll get to it too. The zombies in here are just so. I mean, are they zombies? Cool. They're just different. I mean,
right. And this is the first movie that establishes the idea that they eat brains. And we all say that, brains, more brains, and it's this movie that established that.
Yes, and these zombies are, I guess, most of you guys know this. I mean, these zombies are smart. I mean, they're telling. We'll get to it.
Yeah, there's a little running joke in it a couple times. But yeah, they move faster. And,
they're running, man.
And they have some thought process. As long as they've got a little bit of brain left, they've got some thought process. Yeah. They speak.
Yes.
So this one is very different from Romero's movies, even though it uses that phrase "living dead."
I mean, what they did in the movie, I mean, they put a lot of effort into, like, Tarman. I mean,
the Tarman.
I mean, he's the the zombie in the movie.
Right.
There's a couple other ones that they really made up in the scenes, but overall, some of them are just guys. They just slapped on a little bit of makeup,
latex, and off they go. Because they're way in the background, you don't see them.
You can see the skin though. I mean, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't.
This movie's got everything. It's got some dude with like no legs, a little midget zombie, whatever.
Ted, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. And you can actually have a nightmare of this too, because that was scary as heck. He shoots him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Ah!" because he was eating a brain. He's eating a brain, and then he plops his body up, thinking that the leg. But yeah, I think the legs were they were making it seem like they were cut off or something. But he just starts running. It's a little midget guy running around. Yeah. He's a zombie.
There's a little backstory on him. I think
oh my god!
Looking up some info about it. Yeah, that guy had been in other movies before, never a starring role like that.
Right.
I shouldn't say
starring role. No, but
a feature role.
A big part of the movie because
that memorable part.
That few seconds was
And you got a punk rocker chick who's naked almost the entire movie.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about the hairdo, but I mean she's. From the neck down is.
Yeah, this movie we get a lot more. We get a lot more gory. Brains are being eaten and oozing out, and they're cutting the bodies and stuff. And you get a naked punker chick. She's. We'll get to it, but
And what a motley crew! I mean, you got preppies, you got the Breakfast Club suit tie wearing. With
you got the punker with the earring from here to here. That would have been me. You got angst, a lot of angst.
Yeah, whose name is Suicide.
And
and you're going to
Trash
because I don't. Trash is the girl. I'm going to try to remember all their names. And I've seen this movie before, but
can't remember all the group's names. But I do know the main characters.
I think it's probably been close to like 10 years since I've watched it. It's just not one of the movies that I revisited much. But now that I've watched it,
God,
I'm older now. My tastes have kind of solidified, and I know what I like, and I like a lot of this kind of effects and stuff like that. And we've been doing some of these movies, these 80s kind of horror comedy movies.
And you forget how good... I mean, I knew this movie was good, but going back and recently watching it again, I mean, it's just... My God,
it's got the perfect mix.
You talk cult classic, that's what this is, man.
It's got enough comedy, it's got enough scares. And, again, like I said, I love how it establishes at the beginning that Night of the Living Dead really happened. And they even give like a little explanation as to what happened, whereas in the original movie we don't know what happened.
Right.
So it starts off at the medical supplies.
You need a medical supply.
Right. You need it, we got it.
Yeah, you need... I like the name. I mean, it's kind of, But it's just... They say a scary looking building later on, but I don't ask me. Just a warehouse, yeah.
Right. And it's run by this guy named Bert. I forgot the actor's name. I know his name's Clue something. But if you were alive from like the 50s to the 80s, you saw him in every single TV show that ever got made.
Right.
If you look at his credits, he's been in everything. Been in movies too. And I think he's even commented that this is the one thing he gets, known for out on the street. Kids know this movie. So, but he's a well-established actor, and who works for him is this fellow named Bert. Who, if you've seen the movie, he's our guy.
Bert or Frank? Bert's the owner.
I'm sorry,
Frank's the guy who works for him.
Frank works for Bert.
And who works for Frank is a younger kid named Freddy.
Freddy, new guy they brought up.
Yeah, he like a dumb, hick, kind of sporty, kind of whatever you want to call him.
He always knows where there's a party.
Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying?
I like Freddy. And
but he's real enthralled with this warehouse.
He seems like he's loving his job. Frank is our guy from Poltergeist. You just move the headstones guy. Craig T. Nelson's boss in that movie. So you might remember him when you see him.
Yeah.
Totally different style of acting in this movie.
Oh yeah, no. The director he told them to go nuts. Yeah, act as silly as you can, as campy as you can, and screaming a lot of screaming, like over. Oh my God, what's going on? Overemphasizing everything. Like I said, I wish I can play him saying these lines, but we'll get it across the best we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the medical supplies warehouse, they've got. What do they got? He starts showing them skeletons.
Right, because some school needs a skeleton. What
Yeah.
do you say? Female, adult, perfect teeth.
Right.
He even makes the comment, where are they getting all these skeletons?
Oh, he goes.
Perfect teeth.
He goes. They got an international treaty of skeletons.
We get them from India.
From India, yeah, they get from
all
India.
skeletons come from India.
Yeah, and I love how they start packing them in this big. It's
a
just
huge crate.
Yeah, I mean, you know how much shipping would cost nowadays,
right?
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess because it's in the you could tell it's a fake skeleton, but in the movie it's supposed to be a real skeleton.
Right, but
so all the hay and the bubble.
Well, no, he didn't put a whole. That's the funny part of it. He just takes a little. He throws hay in there.
Excelsior.
Puts the thing. Excelsior. That's what he says. And then he puts the bubbles, the
foam peanuts.
Foam peanuts on top, and he just takes this box which they had set. Director said, put that there for when it's ready to be dumped in, and it just goes like this. I mean, that skeleton's gonna be knocking all around that crate and everything.
And they got other cool stuff. He shows them the halved dog. The dogs
dissected dogs right in half.
Dogs for veterinary school. And that's going to come back into the movie later on. And I like what they do here. It's that it also affects animals too. Whereas in the other movies, I don't think you saw where it affected animals.
Yeah.
Not that I recall. Anyway.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're. Yeah, I think you're right.
At least in the classic.
Anything dead.
Right.
Came back to life. Even the butterflies on the wall were like flickering, and so anything dead. This movie will let you know how it happens, comes to life, and
they also provide cadavers to medical schools. Yes. So he takes them in the freezer, and there's a cadaver there, and I love it. The hooks are just like in the head.
Yeah, this is where they. Yeah, that's where they'd hold him. Yeah, right, just clamp him by the ears and hold his whole body just hanging there.
Frank, cuts a little joke there. He's like, "How many do you usually have?" It's like, "Well, it's the holiday weekend. We'll get a shipment in on Monday." He's like, "It's like the restaurant business. You don't want your stock to lose its freshness." It is so funny,
so
that establishes the characters, and then they're sitting in the office, and. Excuse me. Wait for me to take a drink.
His mouth gets dry.
Yeah.
He's got dry mouth syndrome.
I do. I got syndrome.
But, anyways.
So they're sitting in there, and Freddy asks him, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen?" And that's when he goes like, "Have you ever seen that movie Night of the Living Dead?"
All right.
And he's like, and the kid's like, yeah, I saw that movie. Yeah, it was great. The corpses coming alive. And he was like, "Did you know that was based on a true story?" And that just kind of freaks him out. Yeah. and he starts explaining how it happened at a VA hospital in, where did he say, Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah.
And some kind of chemical that the government was using to spray on marijuana got loose and got, basically, it got into the morgue and it made these corpses, come alive.
Yeah, and kind of beating around the bush about how all this, because I don't think he really understands. It's just a story passed down, whatever.
Right. And this is how it was told to him.
Anyway. Right.
And he says there's the usual Army F up. Mm-hmm. He's like, when the transportation department went to go send those things to, it was the Darrow Chemical Company who actually produced this chemical that caused this to happen.
Toxic.
All these bodies were encased in these big drums, hydraulic, I don't know, sealed drums. Right?
Yeah, with the little glass window on the top of it.
So you can see the body. It's cool.
Yeah.
And he said they sent them here by mistake, and they've been down in the basement ever since. And he's like, "You want to go see them?" And that's the best. They're down in the corpse.
And he was freaked out about the corpse hanging in the freezer, but he was all amped up to go and see these. So.
I gotta admit, I'd be right there. Yeah, I want to see him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they do cut to the big group of punkers and
Freddy's friends.
Yeah, Freddy's friends.
Girlfriend and the group that they kind of hang.
Yeah, who's Tina is his girlfriend. Who's part
She's
of.
a very preppy little girl.
Yeah, and they're just all back and forth. They got the big boom box, typical 80s. They, looking for trouble.
A lot of cool songs in this movie too.
I
think over the years, like on video releases, they've edited some of the music and whatnot, but I remember, probably like you too, I didn't see this in the theater. I caught this like on cable, late night cable. My parents are sleeping, and it's like Friday night, and I got to stay up late and watch TV.
Yep.
And, this come on. So that's kind of like what I remember watching it at home on the old tube TV. And, but yeah, I remember, his friends are all walking the street. Oh, I want a party. Where's a party? And yeah, there's what's his name? Chuck. He's kind of like the smooth dressed one in the suit, like the 80s kind of suit.
I don't know the girl.
Casey was the girl that he kind of had the hots for.
Okay.
She's
she didn't want nothing to do with him. She did not
she
like
can't
him.
stand
Yeah.
And then there's Trash, the punk girl who's obsessed with death.
Oh yeah.
And then there's two other fellas. There's
the Tombstone
black guy with like the Jerry curl, and not Jerry curl. He got long hair. I think his name was Spider.
What's he look like? Who's he look like?
I can't.
Rick James.
Rick James.
He looks like Rick James.
And I've seen him before. There's 100 people you've seen this movie that you've seen before.
Right.
I think he might have been in one of the Jason movies. But he's been in a ton of stuff, and I remember him.
Yeah.
And then there's another fellow with a mohawk, and I think his name was Scud or Scuzz or something.
Right.
It's hard to keep.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a party, and Tina's going to go meet Freddy after he gets off work. It's like 7:30 at night.
They got to go pick him up.
He gets off at 10. And he's like, Freddy, let's go. Freddy always knows where there's a party.
Right. Yeah.
So they're going to do that, and they're going to hook up with a friend with a car pretty soon. And but then I think we go back to Freddy and Frank.
Right.
And he takes him down to look at these drums.
Yes.
And it looks like there's about 5, 6 of them maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they make mention. Watch that third step. It's a bitch.
Yeah.
And they get downstairs, and in the cellar of this basement.
Meanwhile, the whole time, just how Frank's talking, you guys will die laughing. I mean, it's just great.
I know, he's just playing it up, hamming it up.
Oh, and when he flips up that lid and they show the...
Yeah, the body's all...
It's like, through the glass.
And it's a real cool, mac-up. And,
but I love how he sprays it down with Windex, takes a whole roll of paper towels and wipes it off. Like, here, I'll clean this up like this,
Right.
And this is kind of the intro to the movie that he, Frank, or not
Freddy,
Frank,
Freddy
but Fred
says, aren't you afraid these things will, leak or, anything like that?
He goes, no, this is military grade. This
Army
is
engineering.
Boom.
And then mist comes out. You see the body inside the thing starting to melt. This is who's going to become the Tar Man, I believe.
Yes.
And
meanwhile, Frank and Freddy just fall down to the ground.
Get knocked out.
Yeah.
This all happens before the credits.
Oh yeah.
All right.
This is when the credits start going and rolling.
Exactly.
The movie started.
The credits now happen. All right. How many movies have all this crap happening and then the credits happen?
Yes.
See, this movie's awesome, and you see all that icky, whatever was missed, whatever junk was in that drum getting sucked up into during the credits.
Yeah.
Sucked up into the ventilation.
Right.
And going throughout, the rest of the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's awesome, man.
Oh, I know. And this is what's going to end up, bringing the other dead things alive, because they show it going into the freezer where the corpse, the meat corpse is hanging, and there's
this is what gets
dogs, the butterflies, all of it's going to wake up.
Yeah, this is what gets everybody in the warehouse.
Yes.
Zombified.
It's going to spread. It's going to spread.
And they're showing the cadaver and they're shaking.
Oh, I know. It's awesome. And it's got really cool music playing over it, too. And so,
Oh, yeah.
It's such cool.
It's great.
What a great intro. And then, what comes up next here? That's when we meet we get introduced to the army guy.
The guy in charge.
He doesn't play a huge role in it, but
no.
This is where we find out that the military, for a long time, have been looking for these drums.
Yeah.
Now this is like over, California?
Yeah, because they're always going Eastern Time, Pacific Time, pops up on there. And then this guy...
Well, and this movie, by the way, takes place in Kentucky, just so you know.
Right, yeah.
They have
Louisville.
And they have punk rockers in Kentucky.
Yeah. You don't see much else, and I don't think until a little bit later in the movie, towards the end, you don't see really anything
that really
else.
Gives it away. It's
just
Kentucky.
These guys, but but this military guy
if it was a Rob Zombie movie, it would.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but this military guy's he's a scuzz, man. He's just a mean.
Yeah, he's pretty lifeless. He comes in, and the wife asks him,
"I made your favorite pork chops.
Had them for lunch. Right? How was your day? Usual crap." Which is like what I say when I come home from work every day.
You think
usual crap.
Yeah, pretty much.
He goes into like his little den, and we find out that he has to report his whereabouts. Like the intelligence, whatever, has to be able to. Basically, his superiors have to be able to get to him anytime wherever he's at 24 hours a day in case they locate these drums for the Darrow Chemical Company.
Yeah, all these years later, they're still...
Right.
And it's just it's a computer laptop kind of thing behind a little cabinet.
Basically, yeah, a little phone hooked up to it. It's nothing...
Nothing real fancy.
1600, nope, make that 1601. I'll be home all night. And he comes back out, and his wife's, lighting the candles. They're going to have a nice dinner of something that he had for lunch. And typical wife, she starts giving him crap.
Oh, my God.
It's his job. He has to, get on... She's
I understand.
complaining about the computer, like it messes with her stove. Wow.
The microwaves.
The microwaves.
Yeah, don't ask me how the microwaves would mess with your
How are the
stove.
microwaves upset with like an electric or a gas stove? If you had a microwave oven, how's the microwave going to mess up your microwave?
Yeah, this couple's they're the bickering kind of couple.
Right.
He's
she's giving him grief. It's his job. And he even says it. It's my job. You know that. There's nothing I can do about it. And I think for the most part, that's kind of the last time we see him. But it establishes the fact that the Army is looking for these things.
Right.
And they're going to find out where they are.
Yeah. Then they go to the scene. They pop right back to all the group of kids.
Oh, yeah. They got their buddy Suicide with them.
Oh, yeah. He's riding in the convertible, beat up car.
It's got like the names of every Sex Pistols song spray painted on it.
Oh, yeah. I love it,
and
man.
this dude, I mean...
He's thrashing. He's pissed.
It's not a mohawk. I mean, his head's shaved like where it's an X in the back. Like he's a hardcore X-Men. And,
kind of.
Like he's got an ear pierced with like a big chain, and it's not going to his nose; it's going to like his lip.
Remember
into his lip.
I don't know if you remember in the '80s, they had the chain earrings where it wouldn't clip on. It would. There was a little thing that it would like just clip. You didn't actually have to have your lip pierced.
I don't remember people putting them to their lips. I remember like to the nose.
Yeah, but you didn't have to have it pierced on your nose or your lip. It would just like kind of go on.
That's probably what. I don't know. This dude's hardcore. I mean, he's got his leather, his chains, his spikes, and he's got.
Because I had my earrings all the way down my ears.
You did?
I did, yeah. I had about...
No, you did.
I had at least 5 of them in one ear. Yes, I did. Really? From the top of the earlobe all the way down to the bottom.
Dang, I had like 1 in 8th grade, and I took it out because I felt like a sissy.
Oh, my God. That was more hardcore, man.
That was your hardcore days?
But anyways.
Was it high school?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right at the end, right after.
Dang.
So, but what do? They,
Well, they say, Freddy gets off at 10...
And they're pissed off.
I'm not driving around for 2 hours. Or I'm not waiting here for 2 hours. And the guy says, oh, well, we could drive around. You got gas money? You give me gas. I love it. He turns around, starts whooping the guy's butt while the car's driving. But I still find it funny that I
like how they said that.
Is with...
Right, these
she
people.
She does not look like she would fit in. Freddy doesn't necessarily look like he would fit in with these people.
Right.
It just goes to show, people from different
I was like
strata,
that. I was like that.
Breakfast Club, they can all come together and be friends.
Yeah, I hung out with everybody.
As long as it's not inside the confines of the school building.
Yeah.
Outside of the school, we can all do it.
But I like how when they do pull up and they look at that warehouse, they go, oh, what a hideous place. And then the Suicide Girl...
Trash.
She goes, man, that's cool.
I like it. It makes a statement.
Yeah.
It's just a warehouse.
Yeah.
And then they see that there's a cemetery right next door. And they're like...
Resurrection Cemetery.
Yeah, I noticed that. And I was like, well, we could fool around in there for a while.
Yeah, they could.
And so they pull right up to it. Because before they were talking about like where they could hang out, like we could go to the park. Oh, the cops said they'd shoot us if we went to the park again.
Oh my God!
And, then you
go
got
to the cemetery.
You got the giant. I ain't looking to get shot tonight. And he just takes like a big, crowbar or whatever, just busts open the door, and they just mosey on into the cemetery. And you flip on the boom box, and
it's kind of cool that it's set up like that because it's this huge gate. Of course, it says Resurrection Cemetery on the top. But then the wall that surrounds it, I mean, it's like, it's closed off.
Right, you can't see anything in there.
If they wouldn't open that up, maybe those zombies would have stayed stuck in there. But anyway,
you get enough of them together, they bust their way through.
Yeah, that's true.
En masse, that's what happens. But so that's where they're going to be, and hijinks are going to ensue in there.
We'll talk
the
about
naked
that.
kind.
Oh,
and,
I love the
girl, man. Had to be naked like the whole movie.
She didn't care. That was her job. Anyways,
we
go back to the warehouse, and
Frank and Freddy kind of wake up coughing, hacking.
Oh yeah, they're like, "Oh man, I'm sick, man," and they look in the barrel.
What was it?
They look in the barrel, and it's gone. Tarman's gone.
Yeah, whatever's
which is strange because they smell brains, but yet they didn't. Tarman didn't get them, Frank or Freddy. You think when he fell out, he would have chomped and had a meal.
what we forget,
but maybe not.
We forget they're technically dead now. I'm trying to say that soft so you don't hear it.
Okay. Anyways, yeah,
But,
they're all that, and when they do eventually make it up, he goes, "Man, the smell! The smell!"
It reminds me of you. He grabs the can of Lysol.
He goes, "Let me get some deodorant, spray it around here."
Deodorizer.
Because he's got to call the boss, Bert, and he doesn't want to.
Well, they're trying to figure out what to do first. They're like, what do we do? Should we call the cops? No, you don't want the cops here. Well, what about the number that was on the drum? Because there was a number on the drum in case of emergency call, and it was an army
military number.
You don't want the army here. And then probably like one of my favorite parts is they start hearing like a dog.
Yeah.
And they can't figure out what it is at first, and then they walk around.
It's that dissected
dogs
dog
laying on the floor.
They knocked it over, and you could see all the intestines and organs and brains because it's sliced right down the middle.
And they're freaking out. What do we do? Oh my God! We're gonna kill it! And he grabs a crutch and starts beating the snot
with a wooden crutch.
We're gonna kill it!
That was so funny.
And then the door starts, the door where the cadavers, the freezer door starts shaking.
Everything starts happening at the same time.
Oh, yeah, and butterflies, pinned butterflies on the board, you just see them waggling.
So they're quickly figuring out that, oh my God.
They lock the freezer door.
And Frank's just freaking out, man.
Oh, I know. We got it all over us.
Oh my God, what's going on?
So they go in the office trying to figure out what's going on, and I just got to throw out all over the place. Like every few scenes, you see like an eye chart. And I love when you go in the office, there's an eye chart, and it just kind of caught my eye for a second. It starts with a B on top, and then a U, and an R, and a T, I, S. And it basically says Bert is a slave driver, and the letters get smaller and smaller, and it says something else, but I couldn't see it. But, if you guys zoom in, it's probably there.
Yeah, stuff you pick out. Easter eggs, yeah. Little things you would pick up on, yeah.
So, he finally says, we're going to call the boss. And, he calls, and...
I love how he dials, he puts the phone down, and he's...
Gotta take a sip of coffee.
Yeah, and he's wiping himself off. And
Bert, we have a problem.
We have a problem. You might want to come down here. Meanwhile, Freddy's also easy. And, the makeup is getting, slowly they're getting more pale and everything like that and stuff. And then we get to one of our better scenes in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Rick James is sitting next to
Smoking a joint.
To Suicide, the punker girl.
Or no, she's Trash.
Trash, I'm sorry. No, Suicide's the guy.
The chain.
Trash. And she's sitting back on the graveyard, her legs spread wide. And what did she say? She says...
Thinking about death.
Think about how I would want to die.
The worst way to die.
The worst way to die. How I would want to die would want a bunch of old men to just start...
grabbing
me and eating me alive.
Little does she know.
Yes, and that's when
they would start by
sits
ripping
up
off my clothes,
and she tears it off, and
don't you love the part when she rips off her blouse and it was like, oh look out, Trash is taking her clothes off again. This happens all the time. Every weekend, Trash takes her clothes off.
She's always taking it off and getting naked. Yeah, and
like
so
I said,
tears that off.
All right, you're down. Ooh.
And then she walks over. She tears that off. She's topless. Yeah. She walks over to a huge
it's probably like a
mausoleum type thing or something.
There's a casket inside this big stone thing.
And she gets up there and she starts dancing
ripping the leather.
They're lighting candles and flames and they're dancing.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, take it. I mean, she's taking it all off.
Are you high on something?
She's pulling off the shorts and everything.
This girl just sits around and reads Edgar Allan Poe all day.
Yeah, she's
on
totally
Friday night,
totally naked.
Yeah, except for these little leg stockings.
Leggings.
And those pretty much stay on the rest of the movie, I think.
And they're dancing, so the big batteries in those boom boxes last a long time.
And they're going to town. They got road flares, for some reason.
That's what it is, road flares.
They've thought to bring road flares.
Yeah, for light, man.
And I guess so. Light makes sense. Yeah, you're right.
And then we pop back to the warehouse.
The warehouse. Bert shows up.
Yeah, and they're freaking out to him, and he's trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
And he's like, what's going to happen? He's like, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to get investigated by the government. I'm going to maybe go to jail. I'm going to get very famous. That's what's going to happen to me.
Oh, this Bert is very serious. I mean, he's offsets the two other guys who are just dramatically over-emphasizing everything. And
he ends up being the hero of the movie practically.
Pretty much.
He's the man.
Yeah, he's getting things done, man. I like when we'll get to the
how are we going to do it? What are we going to do? Because that corpse that dead body's still trying to come out of that freezer.
Yeah.
And
they're banging, and he's
it's not letting up.
No.
And they got to come up with a plan. They're like, well, how'd they kill it in the movie? And
yeah, because Bert's kind of saying, okay, I understand. I think he's, okay, something's in there. So
right.
He,
Oh yeah, because he says, "Are you sure that guy's dead?"
Yeah.
And he's like, Frank, open the door and see for yourself.
Yeah. So he puts the big pickaxe.
Yeah, because they figure got to destroy the brain.
Yeah, you got to. So he puts that in Frank's hand.
And I love he's like, I don't think I can do this.
And he puts Freddy next to him.
Freddy's going to open the combination lock.
Right.
And steal those bodies.
And Bert's going to back up and hold on to the whatever's.
Bert's going to hold the building up. Yeah. But it don't work.
But he is the boss, so he's making them to do it.
Yeah, he gives the combination to Freddy, and
you gotta love when that body just comes.
When the door opens,
out.
The body comes right out and goes straight for Bert, who's hiding in the back.
Bypass Frank, bypass Freddy, and go straight for Bert. Brains! I smell your brains.
And he's like all sickly yellow.
Oh yeah, I mean, and like I said, like him. He looks like jaundiced and just, I
think that's the idea.
No rigor mortis to say. I mean, this dude's just totally flailing about like a real human.
Right, he's trying to take a chomp out of Bert. Frank and Freddy managed to get him down and get him like
they're on
belly
top
down
of him.
On the ground, holding him down.
And Bert just takes that pickaxe and just boom right through the head, right through the brain.
I probably would have put it through somebody's hand or something.
Right. Oh, he just perfect bullseye right in the back of his head.
Beautiful shot.
But it didn't work.
The body's still moving.
Yeah.
Like, you sure you got the brain? It's like, yes, it's
straight through the brain. So he goes and gets a hacksaw.
Surgical saw. And then I just love Frank. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the whole time. That's
because it's so I mean, it's not like any blood because, the body's, drained of blood.
Right.
But yeah, they just get real close up there. You watch them sawing it right through. But then that still don't work. The body gets up. The
it starts running around.
Running around. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? And knock the crap off the shells. I mean,
yeah, it's great, man. The scenes are just awesome. And their facial expressions are just perfect, man.
God, what would you and I do?
I'd probably be running around like that too.
God, I don't think I can take
Holy
this.
shit, get this. Oh my God, smack it.
Because they're not weak. It's not like, the Dawn of the Dead or something, where you can just take a whack at them. There's only one or two you can handle. These suckers are fast.
They're fast,
and
they're
strong.
Smart and strong, yeah. But they do get it back down and they tie it up.
Yeah. They tie it all up and...
then they start contemplating and thinking, what do we do now?
And
Bert takes charge.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, he cuts it all up into pieces.
Yeah, we're going to have to, I think he said that, we're going to have to burn it.
Right, like, that's the only thing we could do.
Acid. Like maybe we can just cut up the pieces, burn it with acid and sulfuric, what do they say, sulfuric acid, and then some other kind that I'm not familiar with. But then...
he says some weird, strange thing. I think it's a made-up word. After the acid,
I heard him say aqua something.
Yeah, I bet you it's made up.
It might be a real
okay, it could be, but yeah, he's throwing so many weird things off in this movie that who knows. But it's
like how there's a box in the background. I remember it said specimen worms.
Specimen worms.
But then Bert gets an idea. And no one realizes what he's doing. He climbs up this ladder, he's looking out the window because there's the cemetery next there, and there's the mortuary attached to the cemetery.
And he's friends with the mortuary.
Yeah, and I forgot what's the fellow's name. I can't remember the fellow's name.
I can't remember
his name.
Lou or... I don't know. Anyways,
but the fellow who runs the mortuary, does like the autopsy, not the, prepares the mortuary services.
Yeah.
He's like he works late on Friday nights.
Maybe
if he's there, maybe he runs a crematorium. Maybe he can help us out.
Yeah.
So So that's their idea. They're gonna cut the body into pieces. Everything. They even take the dogs, the the butterfly, everything. Put them in hefty bags. And they're going to schlep it on over to the mortuary.
See if he'll burn it up for him. Yeah.
And then we're back in the cemetery again.
Yeah.
Where this stupid suicide guy's got this trash girl just grinding up her naked body on him.
And he's just all mad at the world.
Man, you don't get it, man. This isn't a fashion show. This is me. And
yeah.
I mean...
Nobody gets me. Hey,
but, kudos for him because he can control himself. He's a real man.
Oh, yeah. He threw that naked girl aside. He said, quit disrespecting the dead. Even though he's pissed off at the world, let's not disrespect the dead. But
that's right.
Yeah.
They're angry at the world, and then we see this is where
love the preppy guy with the jacket.
Still
it's
trying to hit on that.
The black and white squared up, jacket. And his hair is just Cruise?
So in the face. He just reminds me of Tom Cruise.
Could be a little, yeah.
Maybe they related. I don't know.
But he's a geeky looking.
Yeah,
guy.
He's a geek. He's kind of like the Michael Anthony Hall sort of.
Kind of, yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh.
And then we meet
the guy's name in the mortuary.
Yeah, the guy in the mortuary.
And he's a weird looking dude too.
Yeah, he's got this weird pipe he's smoking. He's listening to some
white
tunes.
hair, got that fish face kind of,
And he's been in a bunch of stuff too. You look that dude up. He's
yeah.
been, a lot of stuff too. And he's working on a body for, presumably a service. It looks like what he says he's doing is working out the rigor mortis, kind of using rods.
I think looks like putting the fluids in
maybe
them or
the
something.
formaldehyde or something like that. Whatever they put in the bodies.
Yeah.
I remember like one time in high school, they would in homeroom. If you remember what homeroom is, they would give out little cards.
Yeah.
Like what you're interested in. This is like 9th grade.
Right.
I'm just a punk, and there was mortuary service on there.
Mortuary service.
I checked it. Sure enough, some school called my house talking to my parents, saying your son has expressed an interest in mortuary services. Wow. And they were talking about different schools that I could go to, and they looked at me like it was crazy, but I was just being a punk.
Wow.
I'm like,
who would have known?
But now I think about it, it's like, it's probably a good business to get into. I mean, there's always going to be work.
My grandfather did that for a while.
Oh, did he?
He said the body sat straight up on the table as he was getting ready to prepare it, because the rigor
mortis.
Well, no, not. I think he says after a certain time, like you'll see a muscle twitch or something like that. Every now and then, a body will actually sit itself straight up because the muscles contract some.
Even though they do that, that's so weird.
That would scare the living daylights out of me.
But then he got in trouble for stealing those bodies, and we still don't know where they are.
Okay, I should have been going along with you. I'm like going, wait a second, what is going on?
What did my grandpa do? What?
Usually I catch on, but I did not catch on that time.
Too fast for me.
Oh, well. Anyways.
There's a bang at the door, but the dude's got his headphones on. He doesn't hear.
Yeah.
So
Frank
Bert lets himself in.
Or Bert, yeah.
Yeah, and... hey, how you doing? Yeah, working late, huh?
Well, scared him first, and he pulled his gun out.
Yeah,
Boom.
he's got like a German, what is it?
Something German black and white pistol on the side of his,
like nothing. Pulls it out on him. And, okay. Put it back in there. Yeah, it's something like, it looked like a German pistol, like ones you see in the old Nazi movies.
This guy's got some facial expressions, too, in this movie, man.
Perfect.
I'm telling you, the way they act in this, but he said
But he's even got a holster for it. Like,
yeah.
Like down here. It's not like it was in his pocket. He's got a holster. He's ready.
He's in a full red suit kind of like thing, like shirt and pants, like leisure suit kind of thing.
Right. He's got the big bloody apron, leather-faced bloody apron on.
But Bert brings in his two buddies, and the
he's
mortician
small
guy
talk at first. He's like, hey, you think you could do me a favor?
And the mortician's like, oh, don't do that. Oh, I could get in trouble. No, come on, that's illegal.
Right, and they bring in this stretcher. And I like when they're carrying the stretcher through the cemetery. Yeah. The one girl, I think Casey, she's like, "Hey, is that Freddy?"
Yeah.
Because she thinks she
catches him walking by.
And what's his name, Chuck or whatever, says, "No, I can't be Freddy because he wouldn't be carrying anything through a cemetery."
Right.
So yeah, they got, and then all it is just a bunch of hefty bags with body parts in them.
Yep.
And at first, I think he says that they had weasels
in there, yeah. Rabies.
With rabies.
Yeah.
And
rabies. He's got to get rid of them and all that.
Bad for my reputation, my business. And
I can't go carry. That seems like a bad idea, the mortician's saying, to kill these, even though they got rabies. You shouldn't really kill them. But he's giving an excuse,
right.
You know what.
And then he pull out his pistol like he's going to, here, I'll put them out of their misery first.
Right.
It won't work. It won't work.
Then he tells me, "Can you keep a secret? Can you got to promise me you keep a secret?" And then he finally promises, and then
he's like, "At this point, I don't know."
Yeah, and he brings out the bag. He opens the bag, and it grabs the mortician by the leg,
and it's tearing his pants up. Yeah, it's going nuts. And
which he'll cut off later on from the knee when they're figuring it out. Yeah, cuts his pant leg off, and he just
using this.
Yeah, from the knee down, he's just got no pants.
I still love Frank. Even when he's holding the bag, oh my god. Like he's useless in a crisis.
Oh, they're just freaking out.
And he and Freddy are really starting to.
They're starting to look
ashy look.
Yeah, dead.
So
they're dying.
That's happening again. And the plan is to load these body parts up into the into the
crematorium.
Crematorium. And
the furnace.
The furnace.
Yeah.
And he keeps. I remember they're discussing. How long does it take? We can't have bones. We can't have.
It'll burn the bones. They're the easiest.
Right. He's like, I'll turn the heat up some more. And
he goes, but will it all burn? He goes, well, the heart's the hardest part. He goes,
right.
Why? And he's saying,
nothing but muscle, because they figured the bones would be the hard part. He said bones are easy.
Yeah, it's the muscle. The heart is the hardest part to burn. But he goes, but it'll burn, right? And he goes, yeah, it'll burn it to ashes. But he goes, but I don't want ashes either. I want the ashes burned.
No ashes.
Oh my god!
Like where the ashes are gonna come alive.
Yeah, flakes are gonna,
But that's the thing. You cut these things up into pieces like a worm,
right?
And each individual piece is coming after you.
They're just freaked out. That's all.
And
back to the graveyard.
Back in the graveyard again, right?
Back to the graveyard.
Back to the graveyard.
Holy Moses!
And Tina's a little concerned. Hey, what time is it? It's close to 10.
And Tina wants to go get Freddy. I'll go. So she starts walking back to the warehouse.
None of these guys offer to escort her. It's dark. It's a cemetery. Bunch of D-bags. You're letting your buddy's girlfriend walk by herself in the dark.
Yep.
And
so creepy looking warehouse.
Yeah, so she's gonna go knock on the door at the warehouse trying to get Freddy. That's probably a bad idea on her part. So they burn the body parts.
Yeah. And as it's burning, you slowly start seeing the smoke and ashes and all that
this
going.
Is what happens. The smoke and the ashes, everything that infected these dead bodies to rise again.
Yes.
It goes up through the smokestacks, and at that exact same moment, it starts raining.
Right.
So all that mixes together, and it's like acid rain coming down into the cemetery, waking up all these dead bodies. But
I think that's the first time I ever heard acid rain. Too, in this movie. Could be where they got it from. Zombie Apocalypse.
They probably get a nickel every time somebody says it now. And the kids, they're outside. They're like, oh, it's burning. It's actually burning their skin. And
doesn't turn them into zombie.
No,
but
no,
they do
because it's only going to reanimate the dead.
Right.
They'll
probably have cancer in a couple months. But
yeah, especially Trash, who's completely naked.
Yeah, she's sitting in the back of the car.
My body burns. Oh, you stupid
She's in the back of the car naked. Yeah, I think she eventually gets a shirt on, but she's still bottomless.
Right, you can still see
through the whole rest of the movie. She don't. Yeah, whatever.
And it's cool. You see a cutaway section
of the dirt and grave,
and you can see all the poisoned water dripping down into someone's coffin.
Right.
And so
right onto shoes. You can see the black shoes.
Black dress shoes.
Oh, it's great.
So they're done burning up the bodies. There's just like char on the grill. And
he goes,
you did me a favor. I owe you a favor.
I owe you a big one. He goes, yes you do. And, yes you do.
Freddie and Frank, they're sitting on the bench and they're just feeling like DS.
Dog. Yeah.
And
they're like,
I think we
can't
need to
take
get to
this
emergency
no more.
room, because they're saying, that stuff, we breathed it. It went right into our faces.
Right.
And so Bert's gonna drop them in an emergency room. Take them back to the office, and we'll get them over to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And one other important part, and as they were burning the bodies, because it comes into play later on in the movie, Frank says to Freddy, they think this mortuary guy thinks he's a hotshot. I could operate that stupid, furnace. Because that actually comes into play, because Frank gets something to do with that.
Yeah, and the mortician calls paramedics and says these two guys are poisoned.
Right.
Because they don't know what else to say. They, toxic waste or something like that. But it says they're poisoned, and
right.
They end up coming, but they do keep showing. They show them in that convertible top with the rain falling,
and the convertible top's up, but the rain is just eating through the top.
Yeah,
and
I don't think they know where to go. They don't want to keep sitting here in the rain because the car wouldn't start.
Yeah, he couldn't get his car to start.
Yeah, couldn't get the car to start.
And
so
he was probably out of gas. And Tina goes into
the warehouse.
Yeah, she's knocked on the door. She opens the door. It's open. She goes in there and sees a lot of things in disarray. And
as you're going down to the basement,
she notices Freddy's hat.
Yeah, and that third step, they told her earlier that he told Freddy, be careful with that.
Yep. She gets over it.
Yeah, she gets over it. Squeaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear a little squeak.
She gets down. Yeah,
gets down there, and we're going to see the best zombie in the whole movie.
Yes,
the Tar Man.
Tar Man. And I love how he talks.
And the actor that portrayed him just did this awesome job.
Yeah,
of
just
these
gangly arms and legs that just contort themselves. I think it was a matter of that and how it was like hanging the tar fabric clothing off of him.
The face, the tongue that comes out. But, I mean, he just did it. I mean, I almost envision it as... It almost looked like it was like a marionette kind of thing. Like, it didn't look like a real person.
That's exactly it, a marionette.
You know?
And almost skeletal in the face.
Right.
Almost like Creepshow type looking thing. But all slimy and tarry and...
and putrid.
And he goes, brains.
And the tongue's all flapping out. And he starts chasing her, and she runs up the steps. Step cracks. Bam.
Fell through the
she's
step.
Hanging on. But he's coming up. It's almost like he's trying not to snap in half.
Right.
Like, I can go a little bit this way. Oh, I got to go a little bit this way.
Yeah, he's a little wobbly.
And it's
like
just,
a marionette. That's
I forgot the name of the dude who played him, but you did an awesome job. I love it.
Oh,
just
yeah.
that gait is so cool.
And his body would just flip and flop.
And when he's coming up the stairs, he's coming up the stairs after she decides to drop down.
And he follows down.
She goes like, she hides in like a closet or something. She like puts a pipe in the handles to kind of keep him from getting in.
And that's where you find out how smart these things are. I mean,
that was a purposeful thing they wanted to do. They wanted him to be able to think a little bit in this movie.
Yeah, he goes and gets a chain hanging from the ceiling,
hooks
the
leash or whatever, and
whatever she's in. It's like a locker type thing,
exactly.
And he's going to be able to just pull it.
He's going to rip that door right open, get him some brain. Yeah, because it's a. It's like you wind it up with a handle. It's
a cool scene how they show him wenching it up and slowly getting the door off. But then don't the rest of them, all the group.
Yeah, they go into the warehouse. They know Freddy's in there. They know Tina went in there. They can go in there and get dry.
Yeah.
Hear her scream. They go running down there and see this dude, this tar man, and I think the tar man immediately. Like, they pull the curtain aside. There he is.
Oh, man, a great scare.
And grabs suicide. The dude suicide. And
grabs
just
his head.
takes a chunk out of his skull. And he's just on the floor, and he's sucking up.
He's eating brains.
And there was that dude, Spider, the black guy. He takes a paint can and throws it. I would have just... Right there.
Oh, I would have. Yes, I would have been out of there.
I'm not throwing anything at you.
Nah.
Because that's going to bring his attention to me.
Right. Which he starts going after them. Yeah.
Right. And I love it. Everybody runs, and that black dude, Spider, he's closed the door. He's like, hey, somebody come over here and help me.
Right.
And things coming up the steps.
Oh, it's too
they
good.
won't leave him. And it's just so awesome.
Yeah, Tarman, that character, it's just so good.
There's so much personality in
yes.
him. And like I said, it's where we first hear brains. Everybody knows zombies eat brains.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. And,
cult status.
Right. I mean, they don't even want none of the other body parts. They don't need none of it. They just want the brain.
Yeah.
And we'll find out why later.
Oh.
But then we zip back to the crematorium. The paramedics show up.
Yep.
And they start examining Freddy and
They're asking him what kind, so they're basically
nobody wants to say.
They're saying some kind of toxic thing, though he'll call up later to find out exactly what it is.
I'll have to make some phone calls, I don't know.
Meanwhile, this is where they find out because they're getting no pulse or heart rate.
No blood pressure.
And their room temperature, they're 70 degrees. So they huddle together and basically say...
for lack of a better term, you're dead. It's almost as if and they don't want to believe it. They're like, well... we're not trying to say that. You're there, you're talking, you're whatever. But they have no vital signs. They have no their room temperature, like you said. They are dead.
Yes.
And it's going to get worse and worse as the time goes on, as all that death and rigor mortis and everything really sets in. So the kids, they split out of the warehouse, Tarman, and they run back to the cemetery. Yeah. I don't know why the car doesn't work. So,
right.
And
they're just trying to.
And Suicide probably had the keys anyway. So
yeah.
They're screwed.
But that's where they end up. They're all like backed
huddled
up against a mausoleum type thing.
Right.
And that's where they see the skeleton.
Everybody starts popping up out of the grave.
Yeah. But it's just a skeleton.
Right. And I think that was like one of the trailer moments of the movie. When the skeleton pops up and the eyes open and the jaw opens and you hear the music. Do you want to party?
Yeah.
And then all these bodies start crawling out of the grave.
And this is where, like I said, some of the makeup and stuff, they left a little out on some of them. You could see their pink mouths and stuff like that. Fully dressed in skin.
If you're running up through the mud, you probably don't need that much makeup.
Right. So, I mean, it didn't take away from it. I mean, it's still great, But oh no, they go for the naked chick.
Yeah, I mean,
she falls down in the mud.
She falls down, and in that moment where she thought how the worst way that she could die, she kind of almost gets at all those old guys just grabbing at her. Yeah. And, I guess
she's screaming, but it's how she.
I don't know what they do to her. They must just bite her, and she ends up turning into one of them.
Yeah, they had to make her.
I guess they didn't eat all her brain.
Yeah, they had to make her an integral part of this of the zombies because of her body nakedness and the red hair and
pretty much
which becomes nakedness. I think it becomes a cult status even in 3. I know, right? There's another chick with the red hair.
I never saw the other ones.
Okay, we'll have to go and watch 2 and 3 because I'm pretty sure.
I know they're not as good. That's what I hear.
Yeah, it can't be. This is
how can
as
you
good as it can be. But
this movie? I mean, really?
No, this is great. But anyways, then we shoot back to the mortuary again.
Yeah, the kids are banging on the door there.
Yeah,
trying to get in.
He pulls out his pistol.
He's got his pistol out, and he opens the door.
Not so mad.
I believe everybody's still there, right? Paramedics and everybody, they're still there, right? Yeah. So, the kids are telling them, hey, there's a bunch of dead bodies out there. Nobody can believe what's going on. No. But, the mortuary dude, he already knows about it.
And I love that he's walking around with the holster gun, the gun.
I know.
And the one pant leg cut off. A full red, like dark wine red, shirt and pants, but one pant leg missing. And it's, it's just funny. And the preppy guy and girl run
Casey
back.
And Chuck, they ended up getting separated in the cemetery from the others. They don't go to the
mortuary. They run back to the warehouse.
Back to the warehouse, and that's pretty much where they'll be most of the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
they hide in a closet or something. So the
paramedics go back out to their vehicle,
to their ambulance.
Yeah,
and
they hear something. Man,
what's that noise? Let's go investigate. Who's stupid enough to do that? When someone says, "Hey, what's that noise?"
Oh, and that's a great.
Here, I'll go check it out.
Right.
Who's stupid enough to do that?
And that's the other great zombie scene when the paramedic hears something and he comes around and opens the back door
and they're all. Ah!
Well, the zombie that he sees behind the door is just the makeup's great.
Right.
And then they all come and attack him and stuff.
Crappy makeup.
Meanwhile, as loud as it is, the other paramedic's in the front seat doing something, and he goes, and he turns back
what's that noise?
Did I hear something? Either you're deaf or they're not. This is like 6 feet away, the back of the paramedic truck. But he's goes and sees what happens, and he gets it too, So.
Yes, and
the 2 paramedics are gone.
I know there's one of the little running gags as the zombies are eating the paramedics. One of them gets up.
Well, they hear the speaker. Hello, come on in.
CB radio.
Yeah,
and although he's like, one was just like, send more paramedics.
Yeah, he hears it. These things are smart, man. You come back from the dead, your brain's still functioning.
Send more.
Send more paramedics.
It's like a little running gag through the movie.
Yeah, because they'll say it later on. Bring more cops.
Send more cops.
Send more cops. And they do.
So where's those paramedics at? So the dude goes outside. He's got his pistol. The mortuary guy.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
The mortician. Just call him the mortician.
And this is the part that you're talking about when we said
he
closes the door because he can't find him.
Yeah.
And there's
little
your midget dude.
He's sitting there eating the brains.
I think he doesn't have any legs. I think he just has maybe little stumps.
I think they used a midget for the scene, but
I think it's a dude that has no legs. Like maybe little stumps or something.
Oh, you mean like Worm Man or something like the Freak Show?
I think he might have like little stumps, but not full legs.
Okay.
Because if you notice when he's running, he actually falls. They keep the scene.
Yeah.
But he falls because he's eating the paramedic.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's just a deformed.
I think there was something wrong with him. I don't think a midget would have just.
No.
I don't know if he would have fell like that.
Hey, it's midget dwarf.
Like
I'm not
really
meaning
walk.
Nothing bad by it, but you know what I'm saying. But anyways, yeah.
I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
No.
But
if any small people are listening, we don't mean nothing by saying midget. But anyways, yeah. But I think he's deformed. He got this role because the scene is scary as hell. It would give you nightmares.
He's just sitting there eating on him. And then he shoots at him. Yeah, he shoots at him and and he runs and this little dude's chasing him. But you could see before they cut, you could see that the guy slips.
Yeah.
The little guy.
Yeah.
So he gets back in the house. I think he calls the cops. Gets on the phone. He calls the cops. You know, and they start barricading doors and windows.
Yeah, like Night of the Living Dead. They're all they're all pounding through. And I love how they're all grabbing whatever they can and just hitting the hands coming through and stuff.
Right.
It's not doing nothing. It's not doing nothing.
I would do the exact same thing.
I don't know.
I would be whacking people's hands. Yeah, I'd get out of here. Go.
Here's a broomstick. Let's hit them.
Isn't it great that these places, I mean, I don't think I have... These are big, thick wood nails. Right? Oh. How many of these do you own? I don't have. I have nails like for hanging pictures of. I don't have any of these big nails.
I know. If you need,
screwed.
When you do need it, you'd be running everywhere to find them, and it would take you an hour. Is it in a drawer? Is it in the basement? Where is it? But yeah, they seem to always pick it up right away.
And they're these big, they're this long nails. I mean, the guy's got a mortuary. We got tons of them. And I have none. I mean, I'd be pulling them out of the rafters in the basement and they'd all be bent.
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, they're never there when you need them, but anyways.
I'd be screwed. Completely screwed. So they're barricading as good as they can. How many windows you got in this place, man?
and Tina sees Freddy, and she's like still consoling him, holding him, and crying.
She wants to know what happened.
I mean, she loves him, I guess. So but I think they pretty much knowing that he's going to turn into that.
Yeah, I mean,
but she's still there, just tugging him up and stuff, and
what they realize they need to do is that they know that Freddy and Frank are going to turn into one of these.
So
things.
Yeah, they got to get him somewhere else in a different.
Not kill him. They don't want to kill him. But we got to put you somewhere where you're not going to hurt anybody.
Right.
As I say, they don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want them to hurt anybody.
Let's get you out of the way.
Right. And they look out the window and they see another ambulance coming because that other zombie said, "Send more paramedics." And I love it.
The mortician's got a little sliding. You know how you
little
like the club.
Yeah.
Say the password.
Illuminator's club.
Yeah. So he's got that so he can see everything going on outside.
Right.
The paramedics pull up the new ones. They get out real quick and they're just standing there.
A little bit, and then because they see the other ambulance, it's not. It's just
they just swarm
all over
immediately as fast as can be.
So hilarious. And they're still barricading windows. They hear things breaking, and they actually pull one of them in.
Yeah, like they pull it probably apart.
Yeah, they pull it
because it's like the head and the torso.
Yeah, and this is a cool part. Yeah, they pull her through, and he's got a stake, I don't know if it's a wood stake or an axe or something.
Holds it down, but it gets a bite of what's his name's head.
Scuzz.
Yeah. Whatever.
So he's
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a good because it was a huge spurt of blood.
Oh yeah, they showed it going.
Yeah, that was a good effect. Probably had like a bag or something on his face and squirted it from the other end, and
it was good.
That was cool. And the mortuary guy wants to study her.
Oh, this is a very cool part of the movie.
I wish that what they end up doing is putting her on the exam table and kind of tying her up.
Yeah.
And going to question her a little bit. And I really wish that maybe this is just the extent of animatronics at the time. Right. I wish the mouth would have moved a little bit better with the
right.
voice.
I think they just
other than that, it's great.
The amount of money, but it was good. It was good enough to where I didn't let my daughter watch this.
No, my kids didn't watch this movie.
But I brung her in to see this part of the zombies laying on the table because it wasn't too gory. It was a little scary. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh, that is cool." Yeah, she goes, "That's not too scary." I go, "Well, this is all you're seeing though, because the rest of it's got adult stuff in it."
Right.
But
she got a
kick out. But it laying on that table with it tied down,
and the spinal column moving.
Yeah, and them asking her what questions, and she's going,
"Why do you eat people?
Why do you eat people?" And she goes,
"People."
Yeah, not people, brains. And then they ask her why brains, and
makes the hurting stop because they can feel themselves rot.
Yes, they can, which is awesome. Yep. These are awesome lines.
I don't know why the brain would make that go away, but maybe there's something in the brain. But that's just really cool. The
endorphins.
I can feel myself rot, and
if you eat fresh brains, you're going to get a lot of protein, a lot of electrical charges, and so I can see it. Whatever.
I get my electrical charge from Gatorade.
I'm just trying to, put it all together. I like how her hair's kind of like punk rock red.
Yeah, it is. It's
I mean,
blonde and red.
Even the zombie corpse, half of it's kind of cool.
And Spider, he's like, man, let me tell you, we're
gonna
get out of here.
Let's get out of here. I gotta talk to you guys.
Yeah, come on out here with me. How we gonna get out of here? How we gonna kill them?
Enough questioning that dang corpse zombie.
I mean, he's absolutely right. So how are we going to kill them? There's 8,000 of them out there.
Our only way, I think, is we got to get to the vehicles.
Get to the vehicles. I mean, the one guy says something about, hey, I've got a crawl space up in the attic there. We could just
later he does say that. Yeah, right. He says that.
And just like the black guy in the original Night of the Living Dead, is like, I'm not going to barricade myself in there.
Right.
Nowhere to run.
Right. And this is when they shoot to a classic. Part of the big scene.
Nice slow mo.
Coming out of the dirt
of trash,
all muddy, but naked. And I'm a zombie. And she's got her arms like wrapped around like she's some kind of stripper zombie. So it all worked out for her in the end. Yeah. I mean,
And she kind of got death the way that she wanted it, and she got to live a little bit. And,
exactly.
Yeah. So then we go. There's just a bum.
Yeah.
A bum in the neighborhood pushing his shopping
the first other real person we see.
Yeah, really. There's not many other people in this movie. Yeah. And she just comes.
The rain stopped.
Yeah, the rain has stopped, and it's just mist. And she's just
slowly. You see the form of her body, and she's strutting it back and forth,
walking like a rattler.
Yes.
And she comes over and takes a big chunk. I mean, he don't think something's wrong. Like, wait a minute.
Oh, he just sees this naked lady coming.
I mean, she's all big mouth. And,
she's wearing the hair's like orangish red.
Yeah,
I mean,
even more orange, I think, than it was before.
And her body's all blue. She's different than all the other zombies.
Yeah, blue. That's right.
It's like somehow she became like a queen zombie or something. Because she's all like powder blue, good color. Queen. Yeah, like powder blue.
She took a big chunk out of his head.
Yeah, I loved it.
His brain.
But and then they go back to the warehouse and the two preppy. Chuck and Casey. And I love how Casey's crying, and she goes, you know what? I really don't like you at all. But hold me. And it's just like...
He's thinking, I'll take what I can get.
Right, he doesn't care.
And the whole time, he's thinking, man, maybe I can work this into a way to get some.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, that's what I would do.
Meanwhile, they're sweating to death, too. But,
I know.
Yeah, but anyways.
Frank and Freddy.
They get back to the mortuary again.
They're dying. I mean, basically.
Oh, yeah. They're shivering. The rigor mortis is...
death.
Yeah, I think the mortician even said, I think rigor mortis is setting into their bodies.
Right, yeah, because they even, they sit Freddy up.
And their hands start, like, contorting.
Right. And they look at his back
and stuff.
And it's all bruised, and that's like when the blood
is pulling up down
on the body. And
even though they're not laying on the back.
Well, no, but he was...
The pool should be pulling in their butt.
I guess.
But we don't want a bloody butt.
So they decided they're going to put them in the chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the one place where they...
And I love how they're carrying Frank, and Frank's still going, oh!
It's called the Wee Chapel of the Dawn. And they're going to put them in there and lock them up in there and hopefully keep them safe.
Yeah.
But Tina will not leave Freddy. She's like, I'm going to stay with him.
Right.
Stupid. Stupid. I mean, you know what's going to happen. You see some dude get his brain ate.
I love you, man, but you can eat my brains later. Right. She don't really know, I guess. She's just in hysterics.
I think next the cops show up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because the cops do. They eventually get here too.
Two cops come in.
It's the same scene. Exactly. I think they look out the window and they go, "Up, here we go again."
Two ambulances.
It's a ambulance.
And
two coppers.
Got the gun out, sneaking around.
Yep.
And it don't take long. I think they see. I got a man down over here. Man down. And I think it's one of the paramedics. I think.
Yeah.
And
Another brain-eating scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh no, this one the brains just flow out.
The brain is oozing out of his skull.
Disgusting.
They didn't even eat them all. They didn't finish their meal.
I do love that they got the plastic on their
over the
caps, just so that it doesn't get wet from the rain and the drizzle.
And in the meantime, Bert, the mortuary fella, and Spider, they're just watching out the window.
Oh, it's become a movie for them. Yeah. They're not even hollering out, "Hey, watch out!" No, they're just watching going...
Oh, because those cops had no chance. I mean, they start popping off rounds, but they...
And that's when the zombie says, "Send more cops."
Yeah, it's a different zombie. It's just great. Send more cops.
Then that's when
it gets me every time.
you know what? Yeah, and their facial expression as they're saying it and they're holding it. If you didn't see this movie, watch it over and over again.
Over and over.
Yeah, have a party.
Put it on loop.
Put it on loop and keep running it all night. That's not a bad idea, but we gotta have a zombie party.
Yeah.
We'll run it all day long, and
all day long.
Halloween is going to be killer. Can't wait. But yeah, what do we? That's when he does point about we can hide out up in the
he mentions that, and he's got a little jar of some kind of acid he brings out, and I think it's like, well, that ain't enough for all of them,
right?
But it's something.
It's something,
and
but
they're going to end up using it on Freddy later on, I think, if I remember.
Well, yeah. Then they pan back to where the chapel of the dawn, whatever, and she's all over. Tina's sitting there with Freddy, and Freddy actually. Transformed completely, I guess, died.
And I like he says, it hurts more than you can imagine. And he's like, the only thing that can make it better. And then it all turns slow motion. Like,
slow-mo fast
your
kind of
brain!
And this when he's like foaming it. Oh, he's just baking soda's all in his mouth.
Yeah, it's pretty horrid.
Foaming. And
so
they
she's
hear
fighting him off. The other guys hear the commotion. They come in there. I think Bert takes a pipe and just belts him across the chops.
Oh, he probably a good baseball player in the day, man.
He's awesome in this movie. Man.
He's swinging
really
it, man.
Going.
Yeah.
Spider takes the sledgehammer.
Yeah, he's got
and
the
he whacks him
sledgehammer
on the head.
Spider's got a pretty big role in here too, as he's taking care of business with Bert.
Usually in these
right alongside
Bert first, and then he sticks around.
Yeah.
And that's when they take the mortuary.
I think it's because he looked like Rick James. I think he had something to do with the movie.
Man.
But anyways,
I think that long hair look is cool.
Yeah, I love that Jerry Crow stuff down to their shoulders, man.
So he takes that acid, throws it right in Freddy's face, and it's going to end up blinding him.
Yeah, and it's
melting his eyes.
Big burning.
Right.
So
they get Tina out of there, and they're just all freaked. What are they going to do now? But remember, in the commotion, in the back of the chapel, we see Frank kind of just get up and walk out.
Yeah, he does.
Gets up and gets out of there. We don't see what happens.
Nobody says nothing, and it is a quick notice.
Right.
Right.
If you're not really
so if you turn your head real quick, you missed that scene. What happened to Frank? Yeah, but then they're running back because they hear the front doors, clanking the doorknobs, and
they're screwed, totally screwed.
Oh my god!
Because they're busting through the door now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, here, let's just set this bench in front of the door. Ain't gonna help. I mean, you do what you can in these situations.
Freddy, right?
What?
That's Freddy trying to break through
the chapel door. Yeah, he's busting through the chapel door.
Right.
And how did that mortuary guy break his foot? I know he broke his foot. Did he just fall?
Must have been in the commotion.
I think he just fell and broke his foot, so he's pretty much useless now. Tina's on the couch crying. She's pretty much useless. So you pretty much just got Spider and Bert now to save the day, because the mortuary is like, I'm not going anywhere with this leg.
Yeah, and he's breathing heavy, so almost hurt him, and all that. Yeah. So, and I think they... Freddy breaks out of the chapel.
Right. I mean, the room that they're in, this examination room, whatever, I mean, it is locked. Mm-hmm. But, and he's blind. So, really, they're thinking, the only thing we can do, we got to get to one of those vehicles. Yeah. So, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere staying
right.
here.
Bert and Spider say, that's what we got to do.
Right.
So.
We got to get to one of those cars. And, Spider's like, I'll drive. And he's like, no, I'm driving. Fuck you, I'm driving. But, yeah, they got to, the idea is to go... grab one of these cars, probably the cop cars, because the keys are still in there.
Go get help.
And drive up to the door, get Tina and the mortuary guy in the car.
Right, that's right.
This ain't going to work.
No.
It never works. Never works.
Too many zombies swarming the vehicle.
Well, right. As soon as they make it to the car.
Right.
They fight their way to the car. Whacking heads, swinging sledgehammers, pipes, and stuff. That's what you need, a good blunt object.
Oh, yeah.
Or a flamethrower.
Yeah, flamethrower. Well,
flamethrower might have done the trick.
You would have thought that would have been sitting around somewhere, but it wasn't.
They got all these big long nails this long. Maybe they had a flamethrower, or make some Molotov cocktail bombs. Yeah, create a path. But they make it to the cop car, but they can't even get to the door of the mortuary because there's about 23 zombies all over the top of the car. Right. By the time they get to it, so
they try to.
She opens it. She closes the door right away. And the only thing they can do is back up and try to drive away, and go get help. They don't intend to leave them. I mean, I know when when they leave, Tina's looking, they're leaving us, and the mortuary fella says, they have to.
Yeah. They had no choice,
right, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
They don't get very far.
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah,
because as soon as they get on the road, there's like an army of them.
Yeah, there's more coming straight up. Yeah.
And I think this is where they decide, back in the mortuary, they're going to hide up in that crawl space.
This is where he's starting to act a little psychotic himself. He's like shaking and like very nervous, and his face is, I don't know if it's the pain of his foot or if he's just kind of starting to lose it now.
I can see it both ways.
So yeah, so he does try to get Tina back up in there, but
right.
Meanwhile, that crowd of zombies that gets the police car,
he's like, immediately puts it in reverse.
Head back towards the warehouse.
Right, and then all he ends up doing is just like crashing into the wall of the warehouse. Just bam, totaled it.
And the car was either going to blow up or something and catch on fire. But yeah.
But before we find out what happens to them, we find out what Frank's plan was. He snuck out. In those last moments of him being human, he goes to the crematorium.
Right.
And from what I understand, from when I was looking up. I think the actor that played Frank was just getting tired because this was a hard shoot. They did it at night. It was raining all the time. They were cold. And, I think I read something or saw something where he said, I've got arthritis and this just was no good for me. So he had the idea of how about I just burn myself to get him out of standing around in the rain.
Wow.
Kind of like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, where the best scene, where he takes his gun and just shoots the guy.
Yeah.
He did that because he had the flu. And he felt like crap. And there was supposed to be a whole big fight scene, but he felt really crappy that day. And he's like, how do I just pull out my gun and shoot him? And it became this, memorable scene.
Isn't that unbelievable?
So, yeah.
And
Frank,
this became kind of a really cool scene. I mean,
Frank...
he's like kneeling in front of the furnace.
He's saying his prayer, takes his wedding band off and puts it on the, little switch there, crawls in, flips the flames on and pushes himself in. And screams and he's all burnt up.
Yep. Meanwhile, it's raining, so anything he's burning up too should be going in the air and spreading too.
Same thing. So the car crashes. When we said the car crashed into the warehouse, Spider and Burt get out. They run back, and all they do is run from the warehouse to the cemetery, from the cemetery to the warehouse. But they're back in there, and they find Casey and Chuck. Because they say, are we going to get rescued? And they're not really rescued, but, they're not alone anymore.
No. Yeah, because they see They see the helicopter and more cop cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, more police cars are pulling into that. It's like a bottleneck, though. They pull into the, where the mortuary is, and just the zombies are just going to keep coming after them.
Yeah.
And I like how back at the mortuary, Freddy's just walking around. He goes, Tina! He can't see, but he's like, I can smell your brain.
I can smell your brain.
And they're up in that attic, and he's got it wedged with a big 2x4 or whatever. Yeah. But, Freddy's up there. Somehow he managed
It's a 2x6.
It's a 2x6.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit longer. And, he's banging up there. And I get the feeling when... The mortuary fella, I feel so horrible that I can't remember.
Yeah, it's all right. We can't remember
everything. But he pulls his gun, and I almost wonder if he was going to do them both.
Yeah, because he pulls it up to Tina's head.
Because he's holding her real close, holding her head, and he's looking at her, and he just brings the gun over like this. And I just got the feeling like he was going to, let her out.
Right.
That's how I got it.
Yeah, he acted very... Yeah, something was going on with him. He lost it, man. I don't know.
And... back in the warehouse, they're going to take care of the tar man.
Right.
And what they needed to get down into the basement. I think they were finally going to call the army.
Yeah.
They needed to get that phone number off the drum. And
right.
that's the only place where there was a phone that worked.
Yeah.
So they open the door, tar man comes up there, and I love it. They just...
Great scene, like a baseball.
He knocks his head clean off.
Yeah, he hits it and it goes flying.
Yep. Kind of like Killer Clowns with the boxing.
It just goes flying, man.
And they get downstairs, and it's all the, what's his
name?
Suicide is down there.
Yeah.
And they call the army.
All eating brains, all eating and stuff.
Eating them brains. And he gets up on the phone, calls that army number, and, the jig is up, because the number is where are you, who is this? And
allows him to give all the information.
Right.
To what's going on and all that, and he does that.
Oh, excuse me though. doesn't he first calls the cops again, I think. Because Because there's a bunch of cops cordoning off the whole area. Excuse me, I misspoke.
Right.
And, like the chief gets on there. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, we don't know a darn thing.
Bert's the one kind of explaining what's going on, and then they call the army.
Right.
Then they call the army.
Right.
The member on the drum.
And meanwhile, all those zombies
come
tearing in all the cops. So they've had it because there's no stopping them. So.
And I love it. Even though they're taking out the bullets do nothing.
Right.
Yeah, they're all coming through, and it's a smorgasbord.
And the naked zombie
comes over there, and
she grabs the head.
Yeah, I mean, and
she's
got the biggest mouth, like vicious. And
she's almost all white with a bright red hair, almost like a clown itself.
Yeah, where she was kind of blue before. Now she's all this pale white and this.
It's very strange, man.
Oh, I know. And we're pretty much coming up on the tail end here.
Yeah.
So they call the army, and the general who we saw at the beginning, or colonel, whatever he was, he gets on the phone once he's got this information that the drums have been located, and he gives this young fella some coordinates, and basically, we get back to the scene where the mortuary guy and Tina are in the attic, and Freddy gets through. The thing bursts open, and it's a nuke. They fry them with a nuke. That's because they kept saying, because Bert was saying, they've got some kind of contingency plan with this. It's like they expected this to happen. That's the contingency plan. We're just going to wipe them off the face.
It's so funny. After all of this, wondering who's going to survive, who's going to be the hero and stuff like that. And basically, they just nuke the town.
Yep. Right. I mean, just...
Ending to the movie. Nuke the town.
And even then, it doesn't stop them because, then it rains again.
Right. They think that it does.
That same scene where the skeleton pops up from the trailer there. It
ends the movie like that, yeah.
And then I love how the end credits play over like some of the highlights of the movie, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, just like final thoughts, out of it, like I said, out of every zombie movie I've ever seen, this is the best one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is different than any of it. Like, Walking Dead's awesome. I love Dawn of the Dead. I love Day of the Dead. I think I like them in a different dramatic way. But when you come to just, pure...
Which one could you watch more often? Return.
No, this one, I mean, Frank Frank alone made this movie awesome with the way he acted. Right. But they all just... Yeah, I mean, it was just a great movie.
This movie's got the reputation for a very good reason.
Exactly.
It's a perfect mix. It was just a perfect storm of things that came together. You had your comedy, your gore and effects. You had some good scares.
Yeah.
And you just had these interesting actors. Like I said, a mix of old school and fresh faces.
Yep.
And you had some cool music and some cool songs mixed in.
Yep.
And, it just took everybody by surprise. It's probably not what people were expecting when it came out. It's awesome. And I think all the people that were involved, even the old-time actors, I've seen some interviews where they said they just love the work that they did on this movie. And they love
for 1985, I mean, it was just great. I mean...
Right.
Yeah, everything about it.
Right, and this is there with what other comedy horror movies have we done? We did, we did Killer Clowns, Monster Squad.
Yeah.
This one probably a little bit more like Evil Dead 2, maybe. Is what I would compare this to. But, it's an awesome movie. Unfortunately, it's been, some of the songs have been compromised a little bit. I think maybe in other countries you can get the original version. I don't remember it from when it first came out to know always what songs are missing or what songs have been messed with. But I love this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'm definitely going to watch it again soon because like I said, I'm 40 now and kind of I know what I like, and this is what I like. I like my old movies, and I like stuff with a lot of cool practical effects, and this is definitely it.
Zombies all the way, man, and this is good. And which brings us to, I think, our next week. I think we'll do Reanimator.
We've already talked about it. So
one of
my favorites. I've been wanting to do this one.
This is a definite. So watch it. And listen along with us and watch along with us next week.
So it's already announced. Reanimator. Do your homework, and we'll be talking about that.
Yep.
Next week, one of my favorites. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, and I love.
It's another.
They don't make a lot of good H.P. Lovecraft movies, but this is probably the best one.
Yeah.
So.
This isn't. Well, we'll see. Because it's been a while since I watched it. I don't think it's this like comedy horror. but it's more dramatic. I mean,
it's
a very.
I don't think it's anything. There's funny parts in it.
Okay.
But I think it's more straight up horror movie. There's just some parts that are just so over the top they're funny.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, that's for sure.
Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. I had a crush on you so long ago. So
funny.
Oh.
Yeah. So and let me just say too, man, whoever give us ratings and feedback on iTunes, I asked you to last week and you did. Yeah. So we got a couple more. I would appreciate. I would appreciate anybody. Yeah, the Blob was big numbers, man. So this should get good too. Zombies are, but anyways, yeah. I mean, www.thelittlemonstersmoviepodcast.com. That's all you need to know because the links from there are everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, but what the heck, Ted?
What?
Did you hear something?
I did.
I think it was over there.
Check it out?
Yeah, what the heck, man?
Let me check this out. Excuse me, guys. Check this out. Something going on.
Something's. Is it back in the other room?
Yeah. Oh my God! Oh my God!